Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday night edition of The People Show on intellectualradio.com, iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. You can go to my YouTube channel at Mark J. Wallace, The People's Show there, and we'd like for you to register there and become one of our registered viewers of the People Show. There is no cost to register there online, and looks like we had some technical glitches there, but we're back there. Okay, all right. So we got so much to talk about tonight, and of course, we got a great program for you. Tonight is Monroe Monday. Monroe Anderson is going to be with me for the hour, and probably going to go a little bit longer because we have a great conversation coming up with the Texas State Representative. Jalonda Joe Jones is going to be with us in just a few minutes, a little bit later on in the program. But we have a whole bunch of news that we have to talk about. And of course, the news about the president issuing an executive order to federalize the troops in Washington, D.C., that taking FBI agents and putting them on ground controlled or street patrol in Washington, D.C. Now, we know exactly what this is. There's no sense in pretending. And those who want to pretend of what this is and not face the reality of what it is. This is, on top of this being authoritarianism, this is about race. It is exactly what this is about. What's happening in Texas with the legislature there, and certainly Governor Abbott taking a call from President Trump, and President Trump telling Governor Abbott in the wide open with the lights on that he needs 5 seats. Very reminiscent of what we saw in the 2020 election when he called the Secretary of State of Georgia, telling them that they needed to find 11,780 votes. And they win Georgia, which they did not win Georgia. And there was not a problem within the counting and tallying of the votes there. But he wanted for the Secretary of State to violate the Constitution. And now we see what is happening there, and we see what he is doing in Washington, D.C., and we see what he's doing in Texas. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're also going to talk about this rogue cop. Saw a video over the weekend of another Chicago police caught on tape of the person that they were allegedly pursuing, that he literally put his hands on his weapon and told the person to run, that he was going to murder them. Well, going to shoot them is the same thing as going to murder them. I want to know if this cop is still on the police department. If he is still on the police department, every one of us need to be calling Mayor Brandon Johnson, Superintendent Larry Snellen, to ask the question, why is this person still on the police department? There should be no union anywhere that can protect or should be protecting an officer with the track record that is reported that this police officer or this cop has, with all kinds of misconduct, all kinds of investigations. But that aside, if he didn't have any other investigation, any police officer who is telling people on camera to run, I'm going to shoot you if you run, then telling them to run, and seemingly having this glib smile on his face that this is what we have going on still in Chicago. And now you see why I am completely opposed. And I wish that there were so many of us, so many more thousands of us would join me with that opposition and that outrage of what the Cook County State's Attorney, Eileen O'Neill Burke, has done in empowering police, giving them more authority and power to be able to felonize, young men with these so-called low-level charges. And I want to make sure that I let you know exactly what that is, because I think this is something that we are going to have to call out. We are going to need to call this out of what Eileen O'Neill Burke has done. As soon as I can find that, I think this is it. Here, I wanted to make sure that I had that that report. So, Judge Eileen O'Neill Burke has empowered police officers through what was supposed to be a pilot program that is now going into effect in the 7th district and in the 5th district. Both of those districts are predominantly Black communities, Englewood and Roseland. And she now wants to expand that program, empowering police to bring about charges for which they do not have the training. None of them have gone to law school. They are not licensed lawyers. That's not what their job as police officers are to do. And so what this is that they're able to charge people with felonies without there being a felony review. Now, according to this is what we should trust. So I want you to watch this video of this police officer. And we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it with Monroe. But I want you to watch this video that I saw and that was sent to me over the weekend about this Chicago cop. And then we're going to talk about it.
So we have an update on this story.
One health. Who? You. What? Start running, I'm gonna shoot you. Start running. Start running.
You just, I got you on camera, and you gonna.
So I spoke with the individuals filming that video, and they tell me that police were called for something completely unrelated to what you see on that video. And apparently police allegedly started questioning everybody just hanging out. And then more people came out, and that's where this all started. And this cop, Officer Jeffrey Fram, he's already been a problem for the city of Chicago. Apparently listed in a $270,000 lawsuit for allegedly false arrest after false arrest after false arrest. And that's not where it ends. Listen to what Dinesh has to say.
It gets worse than that. Sometimes he'll stick a finger in your butt. Yep, you heard me. Rape.
You say you was gonna do what? You say you was gonna do what? Shoot me?
No.
You say you gonna shoot me if I run?
I will.
You gonna shoot me if I run?
This man is an 18-year veteran, and he still works for this police department, telling young black men to run. And he was going to murder them. Why is he still employed?
That's the question. Why is this man still employed? Why is he still on the Chicago Police Department? I want you to watch this one more time.
So we have an update on this story.
One house.
Your hands together.
Who?
You. Start running, I'm gonna shoot you. Start running. Start running.
You just I got you on canvas and you gonna.
So I spoke with the individuals filming that video, and they tell me that police were called for something completely unrelated to what you see on that video. And apparently police allegedly started questioning everybody just hanging out. And then more people came out, and that's where this all started. And this cop, Officer Jeffrey Fram, he's already been a problem for the city of Chicago. Apparently listed in a $270,000 lawsuit for allegedly false arrest after false arrest after false arrest. And that's not where it ends. Listen to what Dinesh has to say.
It gets worse than that. Sometimes he'll stick a finger in your butt. Yep, you heard me. Rape.
You say you was gonna do what? You say you was gonna do what? Shoot me?
No.
You say you gonna shoot me if I run?
I will.
You gonna shoot me if I run?
This man is an 18-year veteran, and he still works for this police department, telling young black men to run. And he was going to murder them. Why is he still employed?
That is a serious question. Why is this man still employed on the Chicago Police Department? Every one of us should be picking up the phone to contact the mayor's office, the alderman office, to find out why this man is still on the police department. And they're going around expecting that we should trust them to give police the powers to charge people with unlawful possessions of a weapon, unlawful possessions of a weapon by a felon, and aggravated unlawful possession of a weapon. These are the three felony charges that non-lawyers, non-prosecutorial police officers, that they will be allowed to bypass felony review, all because of a personnel problem. This was a conversation, according to State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke, her own representatives, that came to a district council meeting at the 7th District, who said that she asked, well, the first thing that she did was to ask the superintendent what was their greatest complaint. And supposedly the superintendent said the greatest complaint that we have is that our officers have to spend too much time waiting for felony review when they can be out on patrol or out on the streets investigating more serious crimes. So they have a personnel problem. And because they have a personnel problem, they want to bypass the felony review, meaning that they don't have to wait for the state's attorney to review the arrests, to review the evidence, and to determine whether or not there is a probable cause for a charge of a felony of one of these so-called low-level felonies. But we should trust the police based on their word. Now, mind you, the Chicago Police Department in the state of Illinois is the capital of wrongful convictions in the country. We have more wrongful convictions than any other state in the union. 574 in the state of Illinois. The next closest state is the state of Texas with 434. 434. We have 270 plus cases that still have to be settled, lawsuits that have to be settled, police misconduct cases in the city of Chicago, 270 plus. I think it's 271, 272 or something like that. But we should trust the Chicago Police Department. We want to be able to trust our police department, but based on the record that the Chicago Police Department has, we cannot trust the Chicago Police Department. The Chicago Police Department has a lot of work that it has to do. And it's going to be a long time before we can trust that. Now, even with the consent decree that was supposed to be in full effect, they're even rolling back and not enforcing the consent decree. So, but we are supposed to trust the Chicago Police Department to be able to self-govern itself. Well, we're going to talk about that. We got a lot that we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about that. We also want to talk about what's coming up. We're going to be talking with the Texas State Representative Jalonda Jo Jones, who is here in Chicago, and she is one of the 51 state legislators, Democrats, that have left the state of Texas in order to block the quorum to stop the gerrymandering of the districts. Tonight, again, is also Monroe Monday, and my guest Monroe Monday is here. Monroe Anderson, welcome to the program. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, Mark. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit depressed because of what your president and the Republicans are doing. I mean, they got so much stuff going on, and of course, this Texas thing bothers me. This whole gerrymandering move they're making, because they could really put their thumb on the scale for next year.
Well, they could put their thumb on the scale for next year, but I think that and part of the reason there are some of the experts are saying, and I agree, that this is akin to Trump saving his life again. His running for president to avoid being tried for the criminal acts that were conducted on January 6th. He was able to escape that by winning the election. So that went away. And now he is trying to avoid having to be held accountable as the president with all of these violations that he is doing with the lights on, from violating the emoluments clause to this more recent thing that we saw done today with this executive order of federalizing the police and sending highly trained FBI agents to do street patrolling in Washington,
Well, that's
D.C.
not illegal. That's not what he's doing is not illegal. Yeah, because the Congress and the president actually run D.C. It's not a state like every place else is, and so it's federal property. They determine the budget. I mean, they control D.C.
Well, DC has, the city of DC has a governance. It has a mayor.
Yeah,
So it has a governing body.
yeah.
And I believe that in order for, you're right, it's not a state. So, but I believe that there are some protocols that just because it is not a state, that the president does not have complete autonomy to just go in and essentially dissemble a government without cause.
Well, he's not disassembling it, but he has that control. He has the control where he can send them in. He can send them in. Of course, the irony to all this is on January 6th, when he needed to send them in, when they were the mob was beating up Capitol Police and tearing up attacking the Capitol, he didn't send anybody in. And now we have a situation where there's no crisis. The crime that he's claiming that's going on actually is down 20-some% from last year, 26%, 27%, I think the number is. And he's bringing them in. But this is all because he wants to knock Epstein off the front page or the top of the evening news. So he's doing everything within his power to come up with something that's going to be the news story, instead of people still wondering, well, where's the Epstein file? Why don't you turn it over? You said you were going to do it, and you haven't.
Well, he can try that, but it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So all these other things that he's doing, they get talked about, and they are important. But the Jeffrey Epstein thing is not going anywhere. And it was just a story came on today that his brother has broken silence. Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, said that his brother told him that he had dirt on Trump. Now, he didn't say that what that was. He said his brother didn't tell him what it was, but that he had, dish on Trump and Clinton, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the judge ruled today that the grand jury testimony should not be released and will not be released. But that's, anybody who understood any just basic of judicial practice knew that was what the ruling was going to be. But at any rate, you're talking about 2 days of a slither of testimony just to determine whether or not that there was cause to bring forth an indictment. But there are eons, gigabytes of information that the president can release, aside from the
he can release it all. Yeah, I mean, what he should be doing is redacting the names of the victims. But other than that, he should release it all.
Right. Yeah, of course, he should deduct the names of the victims, but we know what they're doing right now is they're deducting the names of the victims and the names of Donald Trump and the people that he wants to protect.
Right. It's a cover-up. I mean, it's plain and clear. It's a cover-up.
Right. This is, Hannity was talking about he was calling something of the great cover up that he was not about this, but he was calling something that under the Biden administration, I can't remember what it was, but he was trying to say that it was would make Watergate look like a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Well, and it wasn't the actual crime, right? It wasn't the actual break-in that got Nixon in trouble. It was his cover-up.
Right.
Rather than Nixon saying to his attorney general when this was brought to him that we are not going to cover this up, he put it on steroids to cover it up. That's what brought him down.
Well, it was a second-rate burglary also.
Yeah, of course.
There was a crime that they created.
There was a crime, but his crime was not, he didn't orchestrate the crime.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't orchestrate the crime. His crime was that when he found out about it, he went to cover it up. That's what he got in trouble for.
Yeah.
So this has the color of that all over again, where
I think this is much worse than that. I mean, I don't know for sure, but my suspicion is you saw the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Did you ever see that?
no.
In this movie, there's a secret society of rich and powerful men that have these parties periodically, and they're orgies. I mean, and they all dress up in black robes and they have masks on, and they all know who each other are. And Tom Cruise is this doctor who figures out a way to get into this. He gets there's a secret password you have to tell to get into this party, and he manages to get into it. And I mean, and it's just wild. They're having orgies, they're doing all kind of things, and so he goes to it, and then they figure out he has a mask on and what have you, but they figure out that he doesn't belong there. So he's escorted out of it. And then the next day, it's arranged where it never happened. And that he goes places and talks to people, and they don't know anything about it. And that's what we have. I mean, we have.
Was this movie pre Jeffrey Epstein or post Jeffrey Epstein?
This was like this movie was like 20 years ago or something like that.
Okay, so maybe there was a collaboration between Jeffrey Epstein and the producers of this movie.
Yeah, no. The guy who, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the guy who made 2001, A Space Odyssey. This was his last movie. He made it and then he died. But anyway, it was like, it was all these very powerful people. And this is what I suspect is going on here, is that you're going to have all these famous and rich and powerful men who were dilly-dallying on the island. And some of the girls were 14 and 15. In fact, Epstein was aging them out at 18. They were too old after 18 to even be involved.
Well, as supposedly, I forget the congressman's name who's actually been investigating this for a long period of time. He's been on it long before it became, I guess, popular in the news. That he had discovered through his investigation that there were more than 4,725 bank transactions
Yeah.
in one account of Jeffrey Epstein's accounts and hundreds of millions of dollars in another account that were through Russian banks.
Yeah.
And those payments were all directed payments for sex trafficking in Bangladesh and Russia. And
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. This is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I think, well, we'll have to see, but I think it's going to unravel and be exposed because the girls who were victims back then are women now, and they're upset. And so they want it all to come out. And so they're pushing this. So it's going to be harder for them to cover it up forever.
yeah, well, the victims are going to be doing a press conference on September the 3rd with one of the congressmen. They're going to be doing this huge press conference on September the 3rd. So that's going to be right after Congress comes back from their recess, actually a few weeks after they come back from their recess, because they come back from their recess in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the end of August.
Yeah, they ran out. Well, yeah, the end of August is a couple of weeks. And September 3rd is right after that.
It was right after that.
Yeah.
Right.
But, well, you know that Mike Johnson ended the House session early so they couldn't vote on exposing the file.
Right.
They vote on it.
Right.
So this is one hot potato that they don't want to have to deal with. And so he sent them home early thinking that because they'd be gone for a couple of weeks, a little more than a couple of weeks, but they'd be gone and that it will have cooled off by then, but it's not cooling off. It's not going to cool off.
No, I don't think this is going to cool off. And I don't think they're going to be able to distract away from this. Now, there are some people who are calling this a distraction. Now, there are things that he's trying to do to be a distraction, like what he's doing in DC, using that to be a distraction when there's really no cause. The crime in DC has gone down. Murder rates have gone down by 12% over the last several months. Overall crime is down by 28%.
Well, but this is all part of Trump being a racist.
Well, without question.
Yeah, it's like, because strangely enough, he manages to attack cities with large black populations and black mayors.
Right.
I mean, he does that, it's, you got Chicago, you got Baltimore, you got New York. He has very specific targets.
Well, he's said as much as that he's going to be expanding this to other states.
Chicago's next. He's already, he's coming to Chicago next.
Let's listen to how he talks about when he talks about crime in areas, particularly where there are blacks. Listen to his language that he uses.
Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
This first of all, he said it was done before. Where was it done before? But here's a response of the mayor over in D.C.
Limited home rule gives the federal government the ability to intrude on our autonomy in many ways. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud.
So when did it happen before? If he calls sending the National Guard to Los Angeles?
Yeah, no, that's a different. I'm trying to think when it happened. I think it was like 100 years ago or more. It was a very long time ago. He's not counting L.A. That's a horse of a different color.
No, I know. I'm being facetious about it, but I'm trying to find out when did it actually happen where he invoked this limited home rule.
Yeah,
because I don't think that applies for the rest of the country.
No, it doesn't apply. It doesn't. In fact, he does have control, but even with bringing in the National Guard and deputizing the DC police force, that he only can do it for 30 days, and then he's supposed to get the approval of Congress. And considering what Congress is like, sycophants, then he'll get it if he wants it. But the problem is that this what he described happening in D.C. is not happening. You got some teenage boys being a fool, like you got them here doing foolish things, but they're not. It's not organized crime. It's not major. Crime is down, and so what's going to happen in D.C. is what happened in Los Angeles, where you had the National Guard there, and they were sitting around being bored because there was nothing for them to do. And it's going to be the same. And the difference between L.A., of course, and D.C. is D.C. geographically is a very small area, whereas L.A. is huge. And so you're going to have all these National Guards and deputized police and the FBI, all these different organizations that are supposed to be knocking down crime in D.C. In the meantime, these people like the FBI, they have real work to do. There's real crime out there. There are countries that are trying to do things to us, and they're screwing around doing nothing in D.C. instead of out there fighting the crimes they should be fighting.
Well, the population in Washington, D.C. is about a little over 700,000. It's about 44% black, 39% white, but only 6% of Washington, D.C.'s population are youth, are younger. Only about 6%.
Right.
So, but these are the people who are more likely to be criminalized.
Right.
And certainly more likely to be criminalized by what Trump is doing.
Yeah.
So now I wonder how the black folks who voted for this, because this is what they voted for, I wonder what their thoughts are now.
I imagine that they're rationalizing it.
That they're rationalizing what they
Yeah.
see happening now?
Yeah, yeah. Because they're true believers in Trump. I think of them as self-haters.
What could they be? What could they possibly believe in that?
Well, first of all, they will believe that in fact there is this crime wave going on in D.C. that's not going on there, but they're going to believe it. And so, and they look at, and you have people here in Chicago, of course, who are upset about black teenagers because they're meeting in Streeterville and having these events and scaring white people. And so if you're a tourist coming to D.C. and you see a group of black boys, then you're just as frightened, although the chances of them doing anything to you are minuscule. But what they continuously do, what the media continuously does, is put a black face on crime. Now, of course, they're putting a black face and a brown face on crime because Trump is claiming that the immigrants are doing all this crime and raping and pillaging also, which is not true.
Well, of course, there is this myth about black violence, and here was a reporter who tried to corner. I can't think of the professor's name now, but he actually puts it in full context about the violence and who was more inherently violent.
Hi, thanks for coming today. Are there any trends within the black community, such as higher crime rates or higher illegitimacy rates, that could explain their position vis-a-vis whites? And can those be explained by some dominant social group?
No.
No to the first one, or the
no
second one?
No to both.
So there's no.
I mean, there's a propagandistic mechanism that's afloat about, black illegitimacy and black criminality. I guess it depends on what kind of crime you have in mind. If we think about which community in the United States has the highest degree of history of violence, that's unquestionably white Americans. Unquestionably. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of the 100 massacres that were conducted between the end of the Civil War and World War II that were directed against black communities throughout the United States, in which thousands of blacks were killed and the white terrorists appropriated black-owned property. So there's no segment of the population that has a greater history of violence than white Americans. So when you talk about these kinds of matters to me, you're actually mouthing a set of propagandistic claims that are made on the right in the United States, and they do not have a foundation in fact.
There you go. Yep. When they start talking about who's more violent, and of course, anytime something happens that has violence that happens to include a black person, it gets magnified, right? Over magnified, as though this is the commonality and persistent around the country, but more so by black folks. But
right.
But the facts don't bear that out. When you look at the statistics from the FBI, statistics in terms of murders, and with this whole myth about black on black crime, which is no such thing. There's white on white crimes. Most people commit crime or even kill people that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
Right? So white people kill white people.
Right.
And in fact, when I had some statistics that showed where the numbers and the statistics are far exceeding by total numbers as well as percentage of white folks committing more violent crime than blacks. And this is all FBI statistics. But the way that it is played out in the media is that the minority group of black folks are the purveyors of violence and crime across the country.
That's by design. Years ago, when I was working at WBBM TV Channel 2, they were trying to talk me. I was management, and they were trying to talk me into being a reporter because I'd been a reporter at the Tribune for 10 years, and I've been a reporter at Newsweek. And if I say so myself, I was a very good reporter. But anyway, they were trying to talk me into being a reporter. So I went out with a camera crew one day, and there'd been a shooting out near Chicago State on the south side. And what they did was they had the person, the guy who did the shooting, in custody, but they held it up until news to bring him out as a perp so they could put his picture on TV and show this black guy. And they were doing that a lot back then. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. I think they are. But they wanted this black, what they would do is put us, whenever they had a black suspect, they put them on TV, and that would perpetuate this whole notion of black people doing all the crimes.
Yeah. Well, I would think that I wish people would do a little bit more investigating and a little bit more reading before they would be jumping on the bandwagon suggesting that black people are more violent. I mean, black people did not invent the violence that we see perpetrated, and that was perpetrated on black folks, even being brought to the shores of this country.
Yeah, well, that professor you showed talking about all the violence, up until the 60s, when they talked about riots, it was white people rioting against us.
Mm-hmm.
There was the summer of 1919, there were white people rioting against us from coast to coast. It was referred to as the Red Summer. This is when Black Wall Street was attacked, but it was also when Chicago had the situation where the black kid, his boat floated onto the white side of Lake Michigan. They had some imaginary. Lake Michigan was cordoned off where there was one area was okay for black people to swim and be in a boat on, and the rest of it belonged to white people. And this kid's boat drifted too far, and there was a white riot over that. So, I mean,
well, we got all kinds of examples and all kinds of situations to where even with the what happened over in Tulsa, which you just brought up, is that they were supposedly chasing a man into Greenville that had supposedly committed some type of sexual advancement over somewhere else.
Well, a white woman in a white woman in an elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they chase this person supposedly into Black Wall Street,
Yeah.
and then burn the town down, and yet there is no compensation or no repair or reparations for that.
Right. Right.
Rosewood,
Yeah.
the same thing.
Right.
The same thing down in Rosewood.
Right.
A white man actually is sleeping with another white man's wife, and they burn the town down, killing people because she said that it was a black man.
Right. Right.
I mean, we can go on and on and on. The woman who killed her children blamed it on these mysterious black men, that
Right.
she drowned her own babies.
Right. Right.
I watch these, I guess, murder mysteries, not necessary, real crime shows.
Dateline or whatever.
Dateline, right?
Yeah.
And all of the murders that I see on there, for the most part, are done by white people, killing their family members because somebody who doesn't want to be married anymore, he's got a girlfriend, and he kills off his wife. Just recently, a man was convicted for poisoning his wife to death by putting cyanide and eye drops into her IV, poisoning her. Slowly poisoned his wife to death.
Yeah. Right.
But that gets underreported. That's a person who they diagnose as having some sort of mental challenge, and they need help.
Wow. Yeah. When I worked at the Tribune, I worked at the Tribune from 74 to 85. And back then, the Tribune didn't report a lot of crime in the black community. They would spike it. They cheap it out, saying that because it happened in the black community, it didn't matter. That this is what happened in the black community. It only would become a story when a white person was a victim, for the most part.
Right. Well, they've adjusted to abnormality as being normal when it comes to the black community.
Right. Right.
When it's only a small fraction of people who are acting out in conditions that were produced, that create the climate for the kinds of violence that we see. I mean, there is no greater violence than poverty. There's no greater violence than, disenfranchising in a community.
Yeah.
When you strip resources out of a community and you leave people to essentially have to fend for themselves, then you produce a situation where any human being, don't care how moral they are, don't care, how spiritual they are, any human being pushed to the brink of having to survive are going to find a way to survive.
Right. Right.
So these are conditions that were produced and continue to be produced. And so when I hear black mayors, and I here in Chicago where we are, and I hear this criminalization conversation of young men and women, that they reduce to calling them names rather than identifying them as people. So it's easy for you to be able to devalue a person if you call them a thug or a criminal or whatever other adjective that they use to not identify that person as a human being with problems. That is, the lingo and the language in the black community. And it is also persisted by people who serve in public office who happen to be black.
Well, right.
So there's a police officer. I want you to watch this. There was a police officer that is serving on the police force now, because we're going to be switching over into our segment. But he's serving on the police force now. This video was sent to me, and I'm wondering why this police officer is still on the force.
So we have an update on this story.
One help. Who? You. Start running, I'm gonna shoot you. Start running. Start running.
You just, I got you on camera saying you gonna.
So I spoke with the individuals filming that video, and they tell me that police were called for something completely unrelated to what you see on that video. And apparently police allegedly started questioning everybody just hanging out. And then more people came out, and that's where this all started. And this cop, Officer Jeffrey Fram, he's already been a problem for the city of Chicago. Apparently listed in a $270,000 lawsuit for allegedly false arrest after false arrest after false arrest. And that's not where it ends. Listen to what Dinesh has to say.
It gets worse than that. Sometimes he'll stick a finger in your butt. Yep, you heard me. Rape.
You say you was gonna do what? You say you was gonna do what? Shoot me?
No.
You say you gonna shoot me if I run?
I will.
You gonna shoot me if I run?
This man is an 18-year veteran, and he still works for this police department, telling young black men to run. And he was going to murder them. Why is he still employed?
Where was that? What city was that? That wasn't Chicago yet, right?
Of course it is. It's Chicago. Yeah. This is a Chicago police cop telling a young man to run.
Yeah.
First he says, I'm going to shoot you if you run. Then he tells them to run.
Right. Right.
Now, if this man is still serving on the police department, shame on the mayor of this city and shame on the police superintendent, because no union should be able to protect that.
Well, except the guy who heads the Chicago Police Union is a MAGA man, so he manages to be able to protect people. I forget his name right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's for sure. He's definitely a MAGA man, but the police superintendent is a black man.
Right.
The upper management of the police department are mostly black.
Yeah.
The mayor of the city of Chicago is black.
Yeah.
40% of the city council are black.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to convince me that there's one president of the union or of CPD, the Fraternal Order of Police, that somehow he has more power to be able to protect this, which is blatant. It's inexcusable.
Yeah. When did this happen? Do you know? I mean,
I don't know the date of when it happened. It was sent to me, and I am researching to find out when this happened.
Yeah.
To get the actual date of that incident.
Yeah, because if it's old enough, he in fact may be off the force by now.
Well, he certainly should be off the force.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Yeah, he certainly should be off the force. But it is these kinds of things where we hear, the Cook County State's attorney are empowering police, giving police more powers to charge people with felonies, right? Charge people with unlawful possessions of a weapon, unlawful possession of a weapon by a felon, and aggravated unlawful possession of a weapon, bypassing felony review, giving police officers more power to charge people with crime, and telling us that we should trust our police department.
Right.
The police department that has more wrongful convictions than any other police department in the United States of America.
Yeah.
But we should trust them.
Right. And they want to do the curfew where they can just in half an hour decide, okay, well, we need a curfew here. Let's go put these black kids in jail.
Exactly. Criminalizing, giving the more powers to criminalize black children.
Right.
Because you know who would be victimized by that, by that authority. Right. So, and I think we have more than 270, I don't want to get the number wrong, but I know it's more than 270 unsettled, still in queue to be settled, of police misconduct cases.
Yeah.
But yet we should trust the police here. I want to trust our police, but we can't trust them. The records speak for itself.
Yeah. You know, Richard Pryor had this joke that he went down to the police station looking for justice. And that's what he found, just us.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, right.
Just us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what you find, just us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to switch. We're going to switch our conversations now. Our guest is arriving. I told you earlier. We have certainly been watching what has been going on in Texas, and the 51 of the Texas state representatives have left the state to break the quorum to stop Governor Abbott and the Attorney General and Donald Trump, for that matter, of gerrymandering the map so that he can take 5 congressional districts to ensure that they still hold on to Congress next year. Last week, I had a conversation with one of the Texas rep, and this week we have state Texas Representative Jalonda Joe Jones on with us, is going to give us an update as to where they are and what's happening there, and give us a little more information as to why. Now, I believe that all of us have to be in this fight, and certainly to support what is going on, because this is not just a Texas matter, although it's happening in Texas, but it has wide-ranging implications. So let's welcome to the program our guest, State Representative Jalonda Joe Jones. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited that you guys are paying attention to what's going on, because what happens in Texas will affect you. It doesn't matter where you are.
For sure.
And so first of all, I can't tell you where I am. We're in danger. We are being hunted by the FBI.
Right.
So I will not be telling you that, not because I don't love you, but because I need to be safe.
Right. I want you to be safe.
I'm Black in America, and I'll just leave it at that. I've been Black all my life. Y'all look like y'all been Black all y'all's lives.
Yeah, right.
I've been very Black.
You heard what I'm saying? The next thing that I will say is this, that every Black person in America needs to be concerned about what's going on here. And I'm going to tell you why. Last year in North Carolina, the Republicans cracked and packed Black districts to be able to steal 3 seats in North Carolina and make them Republican. They stole them from Democrats. There's a reason why Trump is able to pass these really bad bills, because he has a 3 Republican majority in the House. It came from those 3 Republicans that they stole 3 seats that were Democratic by cracking and packing Black people for Republicans. So what happened in North Carolina is affecting you. That's why so many people have been kicked off of Medicaid and Medicare. That's why they are eviscerating our Social Security. As a person who will be 60 in November, I know I don't look that age, but I will be 60 in November. I just became a grandmother. I expect to have my Social Security when it's time for me to have my Social Security, is what I expect. And for Trump to cut Social Security and try to make us work till we're older, so he's changing the game when we're least able to adjust to it, to give billionaires a tax break, that's just wrong. It's just wrong for him to take, and him and his cronies, because it's a bunch of them. It's not just him, it's all of them. We need to clean that whole swamp. When we are paying $13 for eggs that we used to pay $6 for, that's wrong. When we are paying $50 for a backpack that we used to pay $15 for, that's wrong. I don't even want to know how much parents who have kids who are young enough to go to school had to pay for back to school. And people can't find affordable housing. I was just listening to some farmers complain. I mean, it's hitting us everywhere. If farmers can't get their crops, guess who pays more for the vegetables we have? We do. And to heard from farmers, they can't even sustain their farms.
Right.
And they can't even sustain their farms. Just heard a farmer, and again, these are all people who voted for Trump. For some reason, he thought Trump was talking about them, and he found out they're them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
when you stop and think about it, when a pound of beef costs more than a minimum wage, person gets on a minimum wage, that's wrong.
I used to remember when wings used to be the cheapest part of chicken you could buy.
Exactly.
Right.
And now they cost like $30. Like, huh? What?
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Right. And so, I mean, even poke bones used to be cheap because it wasn't hardly no meat. Even though it's gonna flavor your beans. And now everything is just more expensive. We can't afford 2 more years, much less 4 more years, much less if Trump dismantles the Constitution. I believe he wants to run for a 3rd term.
Oh, he does.
I mean, I do.
He does.
Because he likes the power.
Right.
And, so it's a problem. So what we cannot do, because his policies are so unpopular, he will lose if the lines stay like they are. So he's trying to rig the game. It's no different than you playing a game of basketball. I always use sports analogies because I used to be an All-American in basketball. I'm on the court. We now had to pay the refs before. It's not right, right? When you got the refs calling against you plus the team you playing against. So it's just wrong. And here's what's crazy in Texas. So first of all, Texas has the most Black people of any state in the United States, first of all. Most of the Black people in Texas are concentrated in 2 areas, the Houston area and the Dallas area. And so there's no coincidence that the Black representatives, the Black Congress people in Texas come from Dallas and Houston. They have Jasmine Crockett and Mark Vesey in Dallas. They have Al Green and used to be Sheila Jackson Lee and Sylvester Turner in Houston. They literally have proposed maps, which is why we left, have proposed maps that will pit Al Green against whatever Black person ends up being in CD18 and Jasmine Crockett against Mark Vesey. They literally have moved Jasmine, who represents Congressional District 30, into Congressional District 33. They have literally moved Congressman Green, who currently represents Congressional District 9, into Congressional District 18. So it's going to be a bloodbath. And it's wrong. And to anybody who says we fleeing, we ain't fleeing. I ain't never been scared. I mean, Black people ain't been scared. We ain't scared. I mean, we overcame slavery, right? So we have everything we need in order, to be able to survive. But we're smarter than they give us credit for.
Right.
I have a great public school education, which I believe in, but there are 88 Republicans and there are 62 Democrats in the Texas House. In no math world does 62 ever beat 88. So the only way they get to swing and have their muscles with their 88 is if we allow them to conduct business. Well, guess what we did? We smarter than them. We literally got out of Texas so they can't get to the 100 because they only have 88 Republicans. So they've got to find 12 Democrats. Now, it's my understanding that they're, 5 Democrats short. So there are some Democrats who are working with them, but not enough, which is why we have to stay gone. So the only way
there are actually Democrats that are actually siding with the Republicans.
There are only 88 Republicans, and I think they had 95 total. So 7 Democrats are rolling with the Republicans.
Are they black
Okay.
or white?
Actually, they are Hispanic.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if there are any white ones. I think they're mostly Hispanic.
Right. Okay.
But don't quote me on that. I think they're
yeah.
Hispanic.
No. I just was curious. Yeah.
But my point is this. So we have to hold the line. So this is how we smart. It's sort of like when you was little and you used to get into a fight. You about to go fight somebody, but you heard in advance that they got some people hiding over there behind them bushes and they gonna jump on you. Well, hell, I'm not about to go to no fight where I'm about to get jumped by 12 people. That ain't no fair fight.
Right.
So I'm not about to go get jumped. I'm gonna go home and get my reinforcements. That's exactly what we've done. We've gone somewhere to get our reinforcements, to educate people, to let people know we need to pay attention. We've gotten California to say, hey, Texas, if you pull the trigger on that, we're going to pull the trigger and redistrict out the Republicans here. We've gotten the governor of New York to say, we'll do the same thing in time for the 2028 elections. So the worst thing you can do to a bully is let them get away with what they do. That's the worst thing you can do to a bully. If they bust you in your face, you got to bust them back. Right? It's just that simple. It's that simple.
Okay, but let me ask you this. You guys only get paid $7,200 a year.
Yes, we get paid $600 a month.
Yeah.
Of that $600, we pay our health insurance.
Yeah.
We pay our pension, and if we choose to, we can pay union dues, which I do. I'm a dues-paying member of the Texas State Employees Union. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, so you have to do other work to live.
Yes, sir. I'm
living off of $7,200.
Yes.
So now, in being here in Chicago instead of in Texas, how are you working out this whole financial challenge?
Well, we don't know where she is, so we don't know whether she's in Chicago or not. So we're not going to talk about where she is.
But we don't know where you are. But I can guarantee you that I'm not.
Chicago's a big city too.
I'm not in Texas, right?
Right.
I'm not in Texas.
Right.
And so I will tell you that I'm a self-employed lawyer. So if you've ever worked for yourself, if you don't work, you don't eat. But by the grace of God, I raised my son and he's a lawyer too. So we practice law together.
Okay.
All right.
He's holding it down for me.
Yeah.
I do legal work. I stay up really late at night. I do legal work. I obviously can't go to court. So my son, please go to court for me.
Okay, so you got it worked out. Yeah.
We're trying to. I mean, my son ain't me. I've been practicing law for 30 years. He's been practicing law for like right at a year. So you're not as good a lawyer in a year as you are for 30 years, but he got his mama.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also am a caregiver for my mother.
Yeah.
Who can't hardly see, can't hardly hear. And so what I've done is sort of relied on like the African proverb where I when I left, I didn't tell anybody because we couldn't tell anybody because we know that they're hunting us.
Right.
Reminds me of modern day slave patrols.
Yeah.
But I call my son and I call my sister and I said, hey, I left mom at my house. Y'all need to go get her.
Yeah.
And that's so my family is looking out for my mom for me.
Okay.
All right. I want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to also talk about, because I think that what you just talked about and all of what you talked about is critical to why this is so important. Now, I got a little bit upset because we're here in Chicago. And of course, our Governor Pritzker, has been very supportive of what the state legislators from Texas are doing. And our mayor, who I support, and we have our differences, but I have this problem with Democrats. When you're in a fight, you need your team together. Now, we might not agree on every play, but we are on the same team, and we don't need to be squabbling with each other when we are in the fight for our lives. And so there was a comment that was made by our mayor that was directed towards our governor. Now, I think that this is a time that whatever little differences that we might have as Democrats, that those differences need to be set aside, because we have an enemy in Washington, D.C., and we have some collaborators. Now, I know that there are people who call them capitulators. I happen to differ with that that belief. I believe that these people are collaborating with Trump. They may say that they don't agree with him behind closed doors, but I believe that these people are absolute collaborators.
Or co-conspirators.
Co-conspirators with what he is doing. What's your thoughts about that?
So I think that right now, I think the Democrats need to be like families, right? Sometimes we disagree, and we might disagree behind closed doors, but in public, we need to have a unified front. It's that simple. And right now, I'm just trying to get the Democrats, all of the Democrats, to call this what it is, racist gerrymandering, because the Supreme Court has recently changed the rules or changed the law and said that it's okay to politically gerrymander, which means Republicans can gerrymander to get more seats and take away Democratic seats. But the Constitution still says you cannot discriminate based on race. And in order for Trump to get the 5 seats that he wants out of Texas, they literally have to go find the black districts and brown districts and cut them up, crack them and pack them in order to create the 5 districts that are majority white to get them elected. And let me also be clear that white people in Texas make up 40% of the population, but they somehow managed through creative, racially gerrymandered maps to right now currently control about 65% of the congressional representation. If Trump gets the 5 districts that he wants, then the 40% of white people in Texas will control over 80% of the congressional representation. That's some BS. That's some racism, and we need to call it what it is. Whenever.
Do you have cases on voting rights that hold discrimination? Has anybody taken that to court in Texas?
It's already. There's a lawsuit right now.
Yeah, okay.
El Paso about this. And the Supreme Court has changed the law on political gerrymandering, but the Supreme Court has not changed the law on racial gerrymandering. And it's racist. And when you call it racist, don't be polite. Tell the truth, shame the devil.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
It's racist.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
And what we need our white allies to call it racist. White people don't like to call people racist. But every time you say it's political and not racist, you're putting a nail in a coffin of us winning in court.
Exactly. Which is why I brought that up earlier, is that we don't need to have Democrats at this point in time. Whether the differences are, we need to be a united front, because whatever our differences is, maybe they're not larger than what we're facing. Now, you mentioned that they are hunting you all down.
The FBI.
There's nothing in the criminal code, and I think I've heard you speak to this, that gives the governor this kind of power to go after legislators. So how could this even be enforced?
So have you not been watching Trump?
Yes, I have.
Have you not been watching? He's doing stuff that's illegal, that's never been done before.
Right.
I mean, how long you been black? I mean, you know how the rules change.
Right.
In the Texas Penal Code, there is no law against what we are doing. Yet he has managed to issue arrest warrants for us to bring us back to Texas, very much like the slave patrols back in the day. And so what I'm saying to you is, I can't tell you why racist does racist things, because I don't think like that. Right. But they do have the power. You've got a governor who's a lawyer. You've got an attorney general who's a lawyer. Now, the beautiful thing is we're not in Texas, right? So they can't exert these illegal and unconstitutional laws. So a subpoena in Texas don't carry no weight in Illinois. A subpoena in Texas don't carry no weight in Florida. A subpoena in Texas don't carry no weight in California. And a subpoena in Texas doesn't carry any weight in any state that's not Texas. And by the grace of God, the governors of New York, California, Illinois have told we Democrats, if y'all in any of those places, we got you. We ain't gonna let them mess with you. And so that gives us solace. I mean, I was on the trip to the governor's office in New York. If you saw that viral video,
Yes.
that I had where I was spitting facts.
I saw that. I saw that.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
say that one more again. I was spitting facts to his fiction.
Right.
Because
Okay,
when his
but
lips are moving, he's lying.
Okay, but explain to us how the FBI, under what guise can the FBI arrest you if they knew you were where you are right now and they knocked down the door and dragged you into one of the black vans? I mean, under what rules?
There is no law except for we've already seen Trump disregard the law.
Yeah,
right.
All right.
The law doesn't matter with him.
The law doesn't matter. Trump has literally authorized the FBI to do illegal stuff, just like deporting U.S. citizens. That's not legal, but they're doing it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So if you're relying on the law to save us under Trump, it's not. Which is exactly why we got to stop him from keeping control of Congress, and then we need to get him out of office.
Yeah.
Because
now what? Okay, so you have to be gone for 30 days, or the session
August 19th.
August 19th. So now, of course, Greg Abbott said that he's going to call special session after special session.
Okay.
And you all are prepared to block whatever special session that he can call, but how is he going to be able to do that if he does not have a quorum? Can he even call for it?
He can call a special session. He gonna have the same problem then he got now.
Right.
We just ain't gonna show up.
Right.
Gonna make sure we stay out of Texas.
Because I believe
How long can you do this? Why is just like we doing? I ain't there.
Yeah.
I mean, why change a play that's working?
Yeah,
right.
No, it's a good move. It said, okay, this is what I'm asking, is that if everybody in your group is have a son that can carry on their business to keep their money coming in.
So first of all, I can't speak for anyone but myself.
Yeah.
But we still breaking quorum. So we must all be on the same page.
Yeah.
And you said, how long can I do it?
Yeah.
People want like microwave stuff. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year. People had to figure out how to get to work.
381 days.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So stay until November. What's that?
Yeah.
As long as the community is embracing us and supporting us, I can do it for as long as I need to do.
Well, that goes to my point. What can we do? Because I want to do all that we can do to help and support this as long as we have to. And that's where I'm at, is that we all have to throw in and chip in and support what is going on. I'm constantly saying to people is that don't look at this as being some Texas issue. It's happening in Texas in order for it to happen in multiple places. If it could happen in Texas, it's on its way to wherever we are.
Yeah. But that's true, but it doesn't have to even happen. If they get the 5 seats, then Trump holds on to the Congress.
Right.
He still gets to put his bad stuff on us because of what happened in Texas. So it's more than just, it can come to us. Yeah, it can come to us. I mean, one thing I know about Trump, once he figures out a plan that works, he keeps doing it. Yeah. His plan worked in North Carolina, and nobody talked about it. Yeah. Nobody form broke. So it's like, ooh, I stole 3 seats in North Carolina. Now let me steal 5 seats in Texas, and then let me steal some more seats in Florida. So it doesn't have to come to your state like immediately for you to feel the effects.
No, I don't mean that it actually coming to our state, but that it has wide-ranging implications, which is why we have to support what you all are doing 1,000%.
So you can support one of 2 ways. You can support the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, and if you don't have the the link, I can get that to you. But you can also support me, and I can send you that as well.
Yes.
I ain't going nowhere. I ain't got nothing better to do. And I love using my legal brain that I got from that great free public education.
Oh, man, I've been watching Jalonda Joe for a little bit now. So,
I
I like what you stand for and stand on. I really appreciate it. I certainly appreciate you coming to drop this information to us. And I hope that you come back to keep us informed on what's going on. And I want to talk to you offline because there's some things that I need to share with you, but I need to, we need to do our back of the envelope conversation. So,
well, let me just tell you how you can support me. If you go to www.jalondajones.com, and let me help you remember my name, because for some reason people think my name is Jalonda. My name is not Yolanda. My name is Jalonda. Here's how you remember it. My mother liked the name Yolanda. My father's name is John. My mother wanted for me to have my father's initials. She took away the Y and added a J. So if you know how to spell Yolanda, then you can spell Jalonda, because you take away the Y and add a J. So you go to jalondajones.com, click on the donate button, and you can support me that way.
Okay.
Well, we certainly will be doing that.
I have a question. Okay, real quickly. I think that what Trump is doing is so atrocious that come the midterms, if there's going to be this blue wave, that even if he got these 5 seats, they're still going to lose.
So first of all, I don't believe that at all.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a way to make it seem like it's not a big deal. If Trump rigs these maps to dilute black and brown vote, which he is doing, where black people and brown people will not be there, and the value of a white vote, one white vote, is worth 4 black votes. He's going to do it all around, and it's not going to matter because he's going to dilute our votes with white people. So we have to stop him. It is serious as a heart attack.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got scopes on us, and with him,
there's no question.
He has AR-15s on us. Okay. He ain't even got no regular gun on us. He got AR-15s on us. They believe in the Second Amendment more than they believe in us. So no, I absolutely disagree with you respectfully that his things are so popular. Because look at these people. I have literally watched people who voted for Trump, whose relatives were deported and U.S. citizens, and they still support Trump.
They still support him.
And he told us I could kill somebody in the middle of the street and my people will support me. And they do, because they hate us so much that they will go through uncomfortable and unconstitutional things to make sure that they're over black people.
They will vote against their own interest to make sure that they suppress black folks. There's no question about that. And I also don't agree. And we shouldn't even take that position to assume that we have to double down and triple down on this threat.
He is a domestic terrorist. Domestic terrorist in the White House who will sic law enforcement on us. As black people, we do not have a good history with law enforcement. They literally murder us with impunity. They murder us.
He's sending a signal by what he did out in DC today.
Right. And so
he's simply saying to black folks, I am going to crush you, basically. He is saying that, even in the rhetoric that he used.
Black. Everybody knows that DC is black, right? Everybody knows that. He literally has a scope on us. And it's not a regular gun. It's a weapon of mass freaking destruction. It is an automatic weapon. It's AR-15, AK-47, and he's targeting it at black and brown people. And anybody who says different, I respectfully disagree with you. And I literally don't know what world you're living in, because we are literally watching U.S. citizens be deported. We are literally watching them send people to countries they ain't never been to. We are literally seeing them take our Social Security. That's the one thing people, hard work, you didn't have to be rich to get your Social Security. We are literally having him they have wiped out more people from their Medicaid and Medicare than ever in the history of these United States of America. When you get older, I'll be 60 in November. Stuff just don't work like it used to. Not because you didn't take care of yourself, but the wear and tear. I need my health insurance. You need your health insurance. So the things that he is doing, we literally can't afford.
And I'm not arguing. It's a thought I have on this, is that he
kill that thought.
he has been so horrible, and he's doing so many. He's made everybody pissed off.
Not true.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I think what I see is I see people. Again, that's why I call them collaborators and co-conspirators. I see a group of people who have finally got their monster at the top of the food chain, that they've never had that kind of representation, that they have come out of the back of the woods, and they are going to support what they do at all costs, even against their own interests. We can never, ever assume that this is going to be automatic. It's not. It's going to be a dogfight to the end, and we have to look at it that way.
And they so happy that black people at the bottom. They would rather live with whatever happens. But guess what? They're over us. They trying to put us back into the day where we got to say yes, sir, massa.
Yeah.
We can't look at white folks a certain way, and we can't like white folks. We can't do any of that stuff. Where they can shoot us.
Move off the sidewalk. Have to move off the sidewalk when they're coming by.
Right. And ride at the back of the bus. Right.
But
and not know we descend from kings and queens and warrior chiefs. They don't want for us to know how great we are, even though most inventions they stole from us. That's a whole nother conversation that we can talk about.
Right. Well, Jalonda Jones, listen, I want to appreciate you coming on. We are going to support you. I'm certainly going to make sure that we use this platform so you all can go to www.jalondajones.com. And you're going to be hearing from me. And like I said, we need to talk offline. So I'll be in touch.
And push the donate button. You got to push the donate button.
We will certainly make sure that they push that donate button. You'll see it coming. Okay. All right.
And
we certainly appreciate it.
Large amounts. You got $5, $1, $3. President Obama raised a lot of money with little bitty donations. So I'm not asking for a lot. If you, don't go to McDonald's one day. How much do you save?
$10 at the rate they go.
Hey, we can chip that in, right? We can chip that in, and we're gonna make that a campaign. I'm going to talk to some other people around the city so that we could actually make sure that we do what we need to do to support you all, so that you all can continue doing what you're doing and meet your basic needs. We got to do that. All right. Thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you. All right. Take care. Jalonda Jones, folks. So listen, but that's where it is, Monroe. That's really where it is. That's where the rubber meets the road. This is our Montgomery bus boycott. That's what this is with what they are doing there. And we are going to have to mobilize, and we're going to have to get people to support that, because this is going to be a long fight. This is going to be a long fight. And we have to stand with them, because they're certainly, in these different places. There's 51 of them. And of course, Greg Abbott and Trump thinks that he can mobilize the federal troops.
Yeah, well, it's not going to stop with Texas. It'll be Indiana. It's going to be the Carolinas. I mean, they're doing this. I mean, Texas is the test run.
Well, of course, that's why Texas has got to be stopped.
Yeah,
that's why they have to be stopped.
Yeah. See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's possible or not.
If what's possible?
That's the thing, is stopping Texas.
Well, there were people who weren't sure that the Montgomery bus boycott would work.
No, but they've done this before.
Not in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. The Democrats left Texas before. That's how Jasmine Crockett, she was the leader, and because of her work and what she did, this is how she ended up from the State House to Congress, to Washington, for her effort. But they eventually came back, and so this is what I'm questioning, is whether they're going to be able to stay out long enough.
Yeah, they'll be able to stay out if we make sure that they're supported, because it's all economics. It's all economics.
Well, no, it's not all. It's also family. If your
Well,
family,
yeah, but I think that their family, I think that their families are with them. Their families are
oh,
with them. Their
families are
families are
with them.
supporting them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but their families are with them. But the thing is, you got a 7-year-old child back in Texas who misses their mama or their daddy and don't understand this, and it's miserable. That's a different pool than money.
Well, I know, but we had that in the civil rights movement. They had children. Dr. King had young children. He lost his life out fighting, being away from his young children. I don't think that while we understand all of these dynamics, I think that I think that when you are organizing these types of efforts, I'm sure that they have discussed how they are going to handle all of these efforts. We may not know all of those inner workings, but I'm sure that they've had those conversations.
Yeah, I know, and I understand that, but I think the difference between the two of us is that I'm a journalist and we're cynical by nature. And so my cynicism is wondering if all these people are going to be able to go the distance on staying out of the state as time goes by. And I'm not, obviously I'm not cheering for the other side or anything like that, but this is a difficult battle we're in, very difficult. As Dr. King said, we got some difficult days ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? I know that certainly whenever we have faced difficult times, we've been able to overcome whatever those difficulties is. And certainly as a person of faith, I certainly believe that beyond any shadow of a doubt that they will be able to withstand whatever they're throwing down. And I think that Texas is going to be they're going to be the lightning rod. I think they're going to be the lightning rod for what the Democrats have to do. But we as Democrats, and I'm going to say it again, and I put out a comment because Brandon Johnson made a comment that I believe was utterly misplaced about Illinois supporting the people of Texas. And he tried to conflate by saying that while he appreciates his words, Illinois supporting the people of Texas, but that same energy needs to be applied to the South and West side. What he was doing, in my view, what he was doing was he was pandering, which is an insult to me, to Black people. And again, like I said, I supported Brandon Johnson. I've got my differences with him, but I think that his comments were misplaced, utterly misplaced, because this is not the time that certainly Democratic representatives need to be showing or need to be at odds with each other, considering what we are up against.
Well, and I don't consider his statement at odds. I think different people have different opinions on how everybody is on the team, but that doesn't mean that their solution is necessarily the same.
Well, first of all, then they don't understand what team play is, because as a person who played sports, you have one team, and when you get out on the field, anybody in dissension and arguing is on the losing team. When you get out on the field,
you're an end, and you want the quarterback to throw the ball to you. There are other ends on the team that want the quarterback to throw to them. You have a running back who thinks that they can score the touchdown better.
Well, everybody thinks that they can, but everybody has to execute. They have to execute their job and their play while you're on the field of play. You can't be arguing amongst each other when you're on the field. You want to win as the unit, and you are not going to win as a unit if you're arguing amongst each other. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's not an. Yeah, but it's not an argument. It's a. I think I think that I'll be able to score this.
No, I understand that. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks that. But you think it, but you still have to execute your job.
Yeah, right. And
right. You still have to execute your job.
Okay, but the thing is with Brandon, and part of Brandon's problem, of course, is he's not a good politician. He means well, but he doesn't understand the game as well. But
that means that he doesn't have the right coaches around him.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because my guess is that he made that statement, and I don't know Brandon personally at all, but my guess is that he made that statement because he's in trouble.
Yes,
as a mayor, and so what he's playing to what he needs to have, because he's not going to be in office unless the Black Chicagoans rally to him, and so that's where that statement came. Is that okay? So he's worried about the South Side and the West Side.
Well, listen, I was at the Today's Black Women's Expo last week.
Yeah,
last Saturday I went there and ran into one of his policy people, and they were asking me if I saw or could feel anything coming out of this administration. And I said, well, yeah, I could see that he's doubled down on a policy that he said he wasn't going to double down on. We can see and feel that. If you're asking me if I can see and feel anything positive that we can measure happening on the south and west side of Chicago coming out of this administration, I can't really say that. Now, in fairness, somebody who understands government and who understands that anybody going into an elective office, such as a mayor of the city of Chicago, is not going to wave a magic wand and going to reverse all of the negatives in a 2-year period or a 4-year period for that matter. However, they can give you some evidence that they are going in a different direction. And I don't see that. Now, he asked me, he said, well, how can we get you back on our side? I said, well, I'm not an absolutist. I don't pretend to be an absolutist. He said, well, would you be supporting Brandon in the next election? I said, I don't know, because I don't know who the other choices may be. I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is that I'm not happy with some decisions that he's making, and I think that he's doing a terrible, terrible job in terms of public relations, and certainly giving the Black community a sense of that they have somebody that is there advocating for the community. That's the best I can tell you. So he said to me, well, do you know Jason Lee? I was like, no, I don't know Jason Lee. I know his mother was, Congressman Lee, but I don't know him personally. In fact, I tried to get to know Jason Lee during the campaign because I spent, thousands of dollars putting on a rally for the campaign. That's how much I believed that we had to defeat Paul Wallace, who was being pushed by the Republicans.
Yeah.
So, if Brandon Johnson was a candidate against Paul Wallace, then I would have no choice but to support Brandon Johnson, because Paul Wallace is not an alternative or an option for us.
Okay, so now you're saying you don't know if you're going to support Brandon. Who could be a candidate where instead of supporting Brandon, you support them?
I don't have one.
Right. It's not going to be that character is not going to exist.
Right. I don't have one.
I mean, because let's say, okay, just for discussion's sake, let's say Jonathan Jackson is thinks that Brandon's not doing a good job either, and that he could do a better job. If he becomes the candidate, with Brandon still there, the black vote splits, and we end up with Paul Vallis or whoever is going to be the white candidate, the great or the Hispanic alderman who obviously is running. So it's not quite as simple. That's the point I'm making. Is politics gets complicated in ways.
I understand that, but I think that we've had these discussions before. Maybe not in these circles, but that conversation has been had before. We've had multiple black people in the last 3 elections, and we ended up with a black mayor. I think that somehow that we have this. I'm not sure of the correct term for it, but I think that we have this monolithic idea that there could only be one black candidate. That if we have more than one black candidate, we can't end up with a black mayor. And the last 2 elections have proven that to be wrong.
Yeah, no, yeah, right, exactly. No, that's not my point. My point is that if you have the seat, then that becomes the main candidate, unless he or she is so horrible that you have to get rid of them. And I guess that's what happened in the last election, how we ended up with Brandon.
Well, we ended up with Brandon because we had a person who happened to be black in the seat.
Yeah.
They looked black, but they didn't legislate black.
Right.
So that was a person who I supported.
Yeah.
I supported her over Tony Pretwinkle.
Yeah.
And she turned out not to be a very good mayor.
Yeah.
Because, of several reasons. But I think that she and Brandon both of them have similar problems. And the one of the problems that they have is that they cannot connect to the black community. Now, Brandon Johnson has gone into office, and he is not the same Brandon Johnson that I knew before he went into office.
Yeah.
He seems as though that somebody has gotten a hold of him and gave him a complete sanitation from being candidate Brandon to Mayor Brandon. Listen, I told his person, I want Brandon to be successful.
Yeah.
I want him to be successful. But the way that I measure success is by how I see policies that are benefiting the people. That's how I measure success.
Yeah.
So am I looking for him to cure all the problems that we have overnight? Of course not. Harold Washington couldn't cure all the problems that we had overnight. But what Harold Washington did do was he made decisions that black folks could identify with, that this is a person who is working to make the playing field a little more leveled. You can't do it in one fell sweep, but you can show some signs that people can say, okay, I can identify with that.
But the Herald was a unicorn. You can't compare anybody else to Harold.
I'm not comparing them, but what I'm saying is that they should go and they should learn. They should learn. They should study. There's plenty of video. I watch and read and study Harold Washington all the time, like I study my Bible over and over and over again. They happen to be in the seat.
Yeah.
How many mayors have we had in the city? How many mayors has there been overall?
In Chicago history, I don't know.
Okay, so but it's been a small number, right?
Yeah.
It's been a small number. So my point is that when you get to that seat, That's not a seat to where the masses get to,
Right.
right?
Right.
So when you get to that seat or on your way to that seat, you should study somebody who occupied that seat and occupied it pretty well for 55 months.
Yeah.
And you have some you have some history that you can study. They like to tout his name,
Yeah.
but they show no evidence that they've learned anything from him.
Well, because the thing is, first of all, he was a mature politician, and he had been across the spectrum. You know, at one point he's a machine politician, then he became an independent. Plus, he was eloquent. He had he had all these skills that made him Harold Washington. 20 years from now, Brandon may have those skills. He does not now. The other problem Brandon has is he's not a politician, not a good one at least. And so he's a community organizer. So he's coming at things differently and not well. And so I don't think it's fair to him to expect him to be Harold Washington.
I don't expect him to be Harold Washington.
Yeah.
I don't expect anybody to be Harold Washington.
Right.
But what I do is you study someone who was as great as Harold Washington and you learn from that. You have the benefit of that man's experience to learn from. I remember as a child, as a teenager, that one of my mentors said to me, he said, look, you are half my age. If you listened to my experience that I share with you, you could turn your life around in 15 minutes that it's taking me 40 years to figure out.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm not expecting anybody to be Harold Washington.
Okay.
That's all. Learn from him. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to tout his name, you should be trying to use some of his example, what he left behind, because he left a lot of it behind. I mean, I've got all kinds of clips of Harold Washington and watching how he communicated and how he responds to issues.
Exactly, but that's talent. That's like, that's comparable to telling some young basketball player, some young Chicago Bull, that Michael Jordan was really great, and you want to be Michael Jordan. Well, there's only one Michael Jordan. Sooner or later, there will be. I mean, Kobe Bryant was close to Michael.
You just made the point.
Yeah.
There's only one Michael Jordan, but guess what? Several of the players learned from Michael Jordan and picked up Michael Jordan's certain skill.
Okay, but Brandon may be learning from Harold Washington.
I don't see it.
Yeah, well, that's because you don't see it doesn't mean he's not doing it. It just means you don't see it. And so, and the thing is, white people don't like him. Period. They want a white person in the seat.
They wanted a white person when Harold went in. Wanted a white person when Harold went in, but Harold won white people over.
No, not really.
Not as much.
Black people, black people put Harold in.
Well, black people put him in, but he won a little more white people the second time around, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. So white people didn't want Harold worse than they don't want Brandon when he first ran, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, and now you have. It's funny that we say that now. Probably a lot of those white folks who didn't want him now want to tout how great Harold was and all of that
people
sort of thing.
Quoting Dr. King, who wanted nothing to do with Dr. King when he was alive, But now
Right.
they quote him as this great. Malcolm once said that white people love black leaders, dead black leaders. They're not interested in living ones, but they love black leaders who are dead because then they can quote them and use them as an example of whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I meant to play that clip, but I didn't get a chance to do it when we were talking about talking to Jalonda that Freddie Haynes went before the General Assembly. I was trying to get him to come on tonight, but they couldn't get his schedule. He had a conflict with his schedule, so we would have been able to talk to both of them.
Yeah.
So we were trying to do it, but no, as I said, I am not what people would refer to as an absolutist. I am not absolutely 100% with Brandon, and I am absolutely not 100% against him.
Yeah.
I tried to make that known, but I do have some trepidations that give me serious concern.
Yeah.
And I agree with you as well, is that we need, we have to weigh that, right? I've heard somebody say, well, as long as you do no harm, right? Do no harm.
Right.
While you are in the seat, do no harm. Can we really say that about Brandon, that he's done no harm?
I think we can say he's made a bunch of rookie mistakes.
What are some of the mistakes that you would say that he's made?
One is when he bought the land and this started spent a lot of money preparing it for immigrants to live on, and hadn't checked it out to see that it was poison land. That was a rookie mistake. You have to do your homework on these things. And so that one is glaring.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the mistakes I think is that this is where I get into the communication of Harold, where I say you can learn. Yeah. Harold was a communicator. He would come and explain to us why he was doing what he was doing.
Right.
He explained it to us. Yeah. Whether he was in the middle of a baseball field or a park or somewhere, he would get in front of a camera.
But the difference with Harold and Brandon is Harold knew why he was doing it because he had all this experience behind him. So he explained it to you because he knew what he was doing and why he was doing it. Brandon is still getting on-the-job training. So he can't explain stuff because he's shooting craps.
Well, maybe you need to maybe he needs to contact you to become a senior advisor, because
not necessarily me, but he needs some people like that around him.
Well, who if not you, who would it be?
Jim Montgomery, just for an example, who was also part of Harold's kitchen cabinet.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was, wasn't he Harold's first corporation counsel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's still alive. And he's still, you know it. You've met him. You know. I mean, so
we had him on a few weeks ago.
Exactly. But somebody like that.
Yeah. Well, I think you both could be instrumental in helping him to connect. He has a connectivity problem.
Yeah.
He has a serious connectivity problem. And a part of being a public representative is you got to connect with the public.
Yeah.
Harold was masterful at that.
Right.
I mean, made you feel like you had a friend on the 5th floor and you never met the man.
Yeah.
I've sat down and had conversation after conversation with Brandon, and I'm not sure I know the same person.
Yeah. but he's not a politician yet. He may be growing into it, but he's not there. He's not there. And that's, with Mayor Daley won, not Junior, but Mayor Daley won.
All right, hold on. I gotta end the show because we're at the end, and then I want to conversate with you right after. All right, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this Monday night's edition of the People Show. Here with Mark Wallace, your host and facilitator on intellectualradio.com, iHeartRadio, and Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you go to my YouTube channel, Mark J. Wallace, The People Show, and we'll see you the same time, same place next week.